Welcome to the Gold Medal Girls podcast, part of the Women's Sports Podcast Network. I'm your host, Delaney Thibodeau. Gold Medal Girls is all about sharing the experiences of women in sports, including athletes, coaches, trainers, sports psychologists, executives, and tons more. We're here to promote these amazing people to build more and more support for women in sports. Be sure to listen as episodes will drop every other Tuesday, and I'll be interviewing a woman in athletics so we can learn more about their lives and amplify their voices. I hope you're as excited as I am to hear what they have to say. And without further ado, let's get into the episode. Hello, and welcome to the second episode now of Gold Medal Girls. So exciting that there's even a second episode. In this episode, I'm talking with Camryn Rogers, and she's got quite the bio. So Camryn Rogers graduated from the University of California, Berkeley in 2023. She earned her bachelor's in political economy. She's got a bachelor's of science in society and environment, and she also recently finished her master's in the cultural studies of sport and education. And during her time at Berkeley as a Golden Bear, she became a three-time NCAA champion, as well as the NCAA record holder in the women's hammer throw, a six-time All-American, top 10 all-time women's hammer throw marks in NCAA history, the NCAA championships, NCAA West region, and all-time Pac-12 conference records. She was a Bowerman Award finalist for the 2022 season. Camryn is also the reigning Olympic, World, Commonwealth, and Canadian champion in hammer throwing. She's the only woman in history to win both the World U20 Championships and World Championships. She won the World U20 in 2018 and the World Championships in 2023. She's got the fifth farthest throw in history and has broken multiple Canadian national and various other international championship records as well. Suffice to say, she has quite the background. This was a super exciting interview to do. Camryn is absolutely amazing. She's so funny. She's so cool, and I can't wait for you guys to hear it. In the episode, we'll talk about what it's like to compete on the world stage in hammer throwing, a sport that's actually only been available to women in the Olympics since 2000 at the Sydney Olympic Games. We also talk about her approach to handling the energy and the pressures of big competitions, what it's like to balance school with being a world-class athlete, and just so much more. Let's get into this super exciting interview. Camryn Rogers, thank you so much for joining me today. I was so excited to be talking with you.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm really hyped for our conversation. I think it's gonna be
Amazing.
good.
This is going to be so much fun. Even just the first time we met, I was like, oh my gosh, she's got cats around. This is perfect.
Always. Oh my gosh, they're so cute. You have to.
You
You're
have
a
to. What are we
partner in
supposed to
crime.
not have them around?
Yeah, like what kind of blasphemy, honestly, is that?
Truly, like I just want like a little thing to snuggle with. Is that a crime? I don't think so. So let's talk about sports though. That's what we're here to do.
Love. Love
Um,
sports.
yeah, so you're a hammer thrower. What were the aspects of hammer throw that drew you into the sport when you were first starting with it?
Yeah, so I think my, I guess, starting point in track and field was very different from a lot of other people's because I started with hammer throw, and that's not usually how that kind of
Okay.
journey goes. So my mom is a hairdresser. She had a lot of clients and some friends who were part of a local track club,
Mhm.
KJAX Track and Field in Richmond, BC, Canada. And they were trying to get me to come out for a long time. And I finally decided very last minute one day to go, like 15 minutes before the practice started of the new year. And the first person I ended up meeting when I got to the club was my first coach, my first throws
Oh,
coach, Richard
wow.
Oliver. So he kind of brought me over to the throwing area in the cage where everyone was training. And I got to see kind of the camaraderie and the teamwork and the guidance. And I just felt so welcomed in by that group right away. And I had never done a sport before. Track and field is still my first and only sport that I've done.
Yeah.
And so I think I got pretty lucky right away to find a group that I fit in with so well and a sport that I loved so much because uh, Richard put a hammer in my hand that first day and told me to throw it, and it went like 2 meters, and it was a little tragic, but he had hope, and so did I, and that was also, I think, for me as a young 12-year-old girl, the first time I really had felt empowered in my life was when I was throwing this heavy implement, and I just loved it. I became obsessed with it like right away. And so I joined basically that day, committed myself to it and never looked back. And here I am, 13
And
years later, still doing it.
and that's amazing, I think, to fall in love with the first sport that you try. Like how lucky.
Magical.
And to have the same coach too, like that's just
Very
amazing.
unusual. I think a lot of, well, wait, did you say the same coach?
Well, just that, yeah, you said like that was like your first coach was the first person
Oh,
that
yeah.
you saw in there.
Yeah. Sorry. That was on me. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Very grateful for that to be my first experience into track and field. I think a lot of people end up starting with running, and to be able to start right away with throwing and with the event that would come to be my favorite and my specialty, I guess you could say, is it's pretty cool to look back on and see all these little videos and pictures like baby Cam just out there throwing hammers,
There you
and
go.
we're still doing the thing.
Yeah. How different is it when you're a kid versus like when you're adult? I assume the weight is probably a little bit different.
So the weight does go up. It goes up so much for guys. So sorry to the boys, but for us ladies, we at least in Canada, we started with a 3 kilogram hammer, which is 6.6 pounds, and then at the senior level, throw a 4 kilogram, which is 8.8 pounds, and then it stays. The men go from I don't even know. They go from like a 4 to a 5 to a 12 or to a 4 to a 12, and then to like a 6, okay, and then like a 16 pound. I don't know. I don't know what their
What are they
change.
doing over there?
I don't know, but they throw a 16-pound ball at the senior level, which is the same weight as a bowling ball. And I'm like, this feels a little extreme. But
Yeah. I mean,
but
I
I
guess they
will
might be good bowlers, like just really launching it.
hope, right? Like I will get them on my team. Thank you very much. That's all
Yeah.
I need.
Yeah, that's
Strikes.
that's what we
Nothing
want.
but strikes.
It's so interesting, and hammer throwing is something that I think the first exposure that I ever had, because I've never tried it in person, but um I remember we had there was like a Mario and Sonic like go to the Olympics
Oh my
game.
God. I've played
And
that game.
yeah, and it was like they had hammer throw on it, and it was like you just kind of spun the remote around, and that, I mean,
Yep.
I'm sure it's not the most, true to spirit, way to do it,
It's,
but
you know what though? It's not bad. If it's getting people like aware of the sport, I fully support it. I think there's a lot of movies that'll even have the like warrior fighters in them doing these crazy hammer throw-esque sort of
yeah,
like battle throws and
totally.
stuff like that against the enemy. And I'm like, you know what? I can support that.
That could
I
be
can
you. You can
support.
transition right into stunt acting.
Oh my God, I'm only a 6 hour drive from LA.
I mean,
1 hour
hey,
flight.
you're right
I'm
there.
here. Hit me up. I'm ready.
Hollywood, she's ready to go. Marvel, where are you?
Marvel, please. I am right here.
Well, okay, so thinking of superheroes, though, that must have been such an empowering feeling when you first really let go and launched that across the field. Even if it was only 2 meters the first time you try it, I mean, like, it's such an awkwardly shaped kind of thing, and there's like a distance between where the implement actually is versus what you're hanging on to, isn't there?
So hammer throw is like you have the ball, which is basically like a shot put, if anyone's ever done shot put. So you have the shot put with a wire and a handle. The whole thing stays together the entire time, and you spin around holding the handle. And when you release it all at once. It goes as one sort of fixture, and then wherever it lands is where you measure from.
Okay. And what are your favorite things about the sport? Why is it something that girls and women should be getting into?
Oh my gosh. I feel I think some moments where I felt the most powerful in my life was when I was throwing and when I was training, because you get to be this combination of explosive and strong and fast, and there's so much that happens in a throw. You have to be so well connected to the hammer, to the implement, to yourself. And I think that all of that together has just made for this really amazing experience of just feeling so completely like really coming into myself and allowing myself to grow within the sport and allow that to also influence how I grow outside of the sport. I feel like I've met so many other amazing women and then other girls who are now up and coming in this sport, and are helping to pave the way for all those to come after them. And I think it's a growing community. It's one that has so much support. And for an event that was only in the Olympics for the first time in the year 2000, which is very recent,
Yeah.
for women's hammer, I think we've already grown so much and we have so much more growing to do, but it's really cool to know that you are a part of that process and I guess of that legacy of seeing a sport really flourish. And, you know, I love being able to talk to people and see that it means something to them. They're like, I've seen that in the Olympics. Oh, I really wanted to try that once when we were doing track and field. And now there's so many others who now get to say, "Oh, I'm watching this now. I'm following this on like the different tours that go on every year with when we are in the Diamond League, when the Diamond League hosts hammer throw, but with Worlds and with the Olympics." And I think there's just so much to love about the sport, and that love kind of keeps on growing. And we're really lucky right now to have so many awesome women who are a part of it. We have not only some of the best competing of all time
Yeah.
at this very moment in the game, but
Hmm.
we're also just some of the best women I know. And
Yeah.
it's really nice when you get to go to a competition, catch up, you get to compete with your friends and support one another. We finish a championship and I'm hugging and crying everyone, and they're hugging and crying me. And I think that you don't get that in every sport. And I think
No,
that's
you,
what's
yeah.
so beautiful in a lot of ways.
I
Mm,
totally agree. It seems like the blend of competition and community in some sports that's absent in others just seems so meaningful when you do have it. That it's like, yeah, at the end of the day, you want to win and you're there to do your thing, but you're also there to be supportive of each other and your team or your country or whoever it is, and that's only going to make everybody better.
1000%. I think that I don't know, there's a responsibility that you take on as an athlete. And it's I think especially in hammer throw and especially for women's hammer throw, where you are showcasing the best that your sport has to offer. You're showing the world exactly why they should be like paying attention and supporting you and your sport and loving it and appreciating it. And I think what's really nice right now is that it feels so easy to do because there's so many things to love about it and the people who are a part of it. And to know that there is such a strong community who makes up just this group of super strong, powerful, kind, welcoming, amazing women. Like I feel like there's not much more you could ask for, really.
No. Yeah, I mean it's just what an amazing way to be an athlete and be part of that group. And you're the Olympic, World, Commonwealth, and Canadian champion in hammer throw. Congratulations on just all of that, by the way. And I think it's safe to say that you can handle high pressure situation. When you're at a competition, what's going through your mind, kind of in the lead up to when it's your turn, when you're actually getting ready to do the throw and all of that?
Ooh, so I think one thing that took a long time to sort of figure out, but when you throw, I think when you're in training, there's so much that kind of you're trying to focus on and perfect all at the same time. But in competition, that is your moment to just let loose and go, rely on your training and on your muscle memory, and just try and be as powerful, as consistent, and as together as you possibly can be. And so I try to keep my mind as empty as possible when I'm in competition. No thoughts.
Mind
Uh,
off.
brain off, one cell operating. But I just try to take in all the energy because I love high stress environments. I find that that's where I thrive best, and just enjoy the moment and just go in there and freaking throw the thing as far as I can. And I think every meet that we have has a lot of good energy to it. Like I think there's very few meets that I've been to that don't carry a good energy to them. And if not, you
Mm,
learn to bring your own energy. And in that, you just get to go out there and do what you love. And so no thoughts in my head beforehand. I'm listening to some of my hype music, getting going.
yep.
There's little things that I'll do in the days leading up to it too. Like I won't watch or listen to anything sad or read anything sad. I love to read, so nothing sad for me.
Okay.
Only positive, like music, upbeat, good vibes kind of thing.
Yeah.
Try and stick to my normal eating regime as best as I can, even when I'm traveling, which is nice. What my body's used to. It's what it knows how to fuel itself from.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's learning all the ways in which you and your body and your
Yeah.
mind sort of work. And I think the cool thing is that everyone's different. So that my preparation looks a lot different than even any of my other teammates, even any of my other hammer thrower teammates.
Yeah.
And I think that's the fun part is that we're all kind of special in the way that we approach a meet and do go through the whole process. But that's usually what
Yeah.
works for me. So it's
Okay.
nice.
Yeah, one of your teammates is listening to only sad stuff
Only
beforehand. It's a
they're yeah,
balance.
yeah, exactly. Balance in the universe. I don't know.
Yeah.
They're only watching, I don't know, what's a really sad movie or show?
I'm
They're
thinking Me
only
Before You is what comes to mind.
they're
Me Before
only
You,
watching
followed up by Titanic, you
for
know,
you, Titanic.
all
And
that
that
good
really
stuff.
fuels them.
I mean,
And I love
hey,
that for them.
I,
Not for me, but I love
not
that
for
for them.
you, but for somebody. What's on your playlist lately? What are you listening to hype you up?
Ooh, okay. There is a song that I loved listening to last year. I love playlists. I'll make seasonal playlists. I'll make vibes playlists, the ones with the
Love.
really long, ultra specific names that
Oh
are
yeah.
like kind of annoying.
Yeah.
That's my sweet spot right there.
Mhm.
But for my pre-comp playlist, I really like a couple songs. The Baddest by Joey Valence and I think Bray is the other artist's name.
Okay.
Very high energy, very fun. Feels kind of like a 90s hip hop song, but it was, I think, produced a year or two ago. And then the last song that I listened to before I compete is Runnin', and it's off the Creed soundtrack. Mwah.
Okay.
Chef's Kiss.
All right.
I think gets me fueled up, ready to go.
I mean, hey, you got to do it what's gonna work for you, and having that routine, why mess with perfection?
Oh, exactly. Exactly. Got to nail down the details, you know?
Absolutely. And thinking what you said with the playlist with the super long names, I found one. I think I found it on TikTok. It was somebody who made it. I'll have to find who it was, but it's called Every One Direction song, but in a very specific order. That's the name of it. And I like looking through, I was like, no, I totally get it. Like it
Yeah.
transitions through all the vibes that they had, and I'm
Ooh.
like, this is perfect.
Whoever
So
made that
you
play.
could weave that in maybe, to
Oh, you know what? Next time, yeah, I like that because they're taking you on a journey.
they
You'll
are.
laugh, you'll cry,
Yeah.
you'll feel like you ascended for a quick moment, and I
You
love
run the
that.
gamut of all of it. Oh man. On a more serious note, I guess.
Ooh, okay.
You kind of talked about the mental side, the mental game, for competitions as well, and being kind of as clear-headed as you can be going into it. Do you have particular strategies that you use to manage pressure, all the attention that you're getting, and then things like the energy? Like, do you have go-to ways that you like to handle all of that?
For myself, energy wise, pressure wise, it kind of goes back to a quote that I really like that I know is very well known, but I still hold very close to my heart, which is pressure is a privilege. And I think to be able to operate at a high level, you have the experience, you have to trust in yourself that you know what to do, and if not, you will be flexible and you will learn. And from that, I just kind of let the let the stress and the anxiety and the energy and the pressure I just get absorbed into my body because it's going to be there no matter what. And I think
Yeah.
even if it's not, then I'm putting it on myself. So I think learning to operate within that environment is helpful for me, and it's something that I know I can work with well. Like I like knowing that sort of anxiety, competition, fear, that's I know that's what works for me. I know that's what fuels me. I know that's what allows me to kind of reach and dig deeper into that extra well for competition. And
Yeah.
I just love knowing that that's something that's there that I can tap into, and that all that stress and the energy is there because of high expectations that I set for myself and that I know my coach has for me as well. And I want to be able to go out there and show exactly what we've been training for, and that this is something that whatever it is that I have for my goal, that this is something that I've been working toward for years. So I love it. I love the energy. I embrace it.
Yeah.
And I think when once I learned to do that, it was a very big game changer. Because beforehand, I would try
Yeah.
to calm down too
Mhm.
much, and that is
Okay.
when things used to fall apart.
Yeah. It's almost like, with all the preparation that you're putting into it and the work with your coach, it seems like it's kind of like you almost like owe it to yourself to like use that energy to the best that you can. And it's like, yeah, don't tamp it down, maybe, just let it fuel you.
For sure. And I think, I mean, again, I have people who talk a ton. I have people, that sounds weird. I have teammates who like talk a ton, me and my people.
Yeah, you've got vibes, people just there to
Yeah.
chat.
But I have teammates and friends who need to talk during competition,
Yeah.
who need to just be super social and kind of bounce over the place, and that's what works for
Hmm.
them. Other
Yeah.
people who like to stay dead quiet and within their own zone and very standoffish. I think I land somewhere in the middle, potentially a little more toward standoffish, but we'll say in the middle. More within my own zone. I don't watch other people throw. I never
Okay.
do.
Yeah.
And so it helps keep me focused, but yeah, it's a good thing, and I think it's something that my coach and I tried to establish pretty early on from when we started working together when I came to Cal in 2017, but started competing in 2018.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's super
So,
interesting. Vibes wise, what's been the best competition that you've been to?
ooh, great questions. Okay. For sure, two of two of my favorites have also been two of my biggest,
Okay.
which was the Olympics and Worlds, like 2024 and 2023. But
Hmm.
that's also just because I think sometimes when you go to, well, a lot of times when you go to a meet, they'll kind of have you off in like a different area. It's
Okay.
hard for people to get to. They don't know you're competing. You kind of get isolated a lot.
Mm.
In a major championship setting, it is required by the policies set out by World Athletics and the International Olympic Committee that every event has to take place within that competition stadium except for like the marathon
Okay.
and race walk. So I think for myself, being in those big stadiums, like in Paris, you're kind of down in this bowl where all the
Yeah.
sound gets trapped and you just hear the screams from like 80,000 people around you. And it's this feeling that is so surreal and indescribable. And that's the kind of energy that I think is like those are the things that you dream of and that you can't wait for when you go and compete at a high level because that's exactly what you've been working toward. And you know that people are seeing you and seeing your sport and you are helping with the exposure for it and to show why people should love it and
Yeah.
should be cheering for all the throwers and especially the hammer throwers. So I think that and in at Worlds in 2023 in Budapest in
Hmm.
Hungary, Hungary has had a lot of really great hammer throwers kind of, come like I guess out of that system. And
Yeah.
so a lot of people there know hammer throw really, really well.
Oh, that's so
And
cool.
it is super cool. So it's not just that people are watching, it's that people understand what's going on. They know the
Yeah.
rules, they know the athletes, they know your stats. It's wild.
That's
So
really cool though for you probably that it's like, oh my God, people get it. And it's like, and to be in that space where all, like you said, all those other amazing athletes have come through, it's like that's got to be really cool to feel like you're kind of connected in that way
yeah,
too.
exactly, for sure. And I think it's kind of a cool experience when you're the only event that's going on in that moment. There's like a break on the track. There's no other events happening. You're the only event happening, and everyone is in the stadium. No one's getting up. No one's like getting snacks or running to the washroom. They are fully in there watching you, and you just get this kind of whole crowd there, like cheering and shouting and just there for you. And it's this really cool experience that I really hope and want to work on replicating at a lot of other meets, bringing more people in and have more people watch and be invested. It's so cool and it's great for the sport. It's great for us as athletes to know that there are people who are there sending us, their good vibes and their good energy. And
Yeah.
again, you feel it. Like I think especially last year in Paris when any French athlete was competing, I thought that my heart was going to like explode because you could like feel the vibrations from this
Yeah.
everyone just like pools down in the center on
Yeah.
the field. So that was pretty special, pretty neat.
Yeah. Especially with Paris having been so kind of in the city, compared to like how some other places have set up their Olympic grounds, I guess. So I was in France like the week before the Olympics started, and like we went
Oh,
through
right.
Paris, and even then, like just the vibes, like you could tell people were excited, and there were signs for all the Olympic stuff everywhere, and it was like, oh, this is sick.
Oh, cool. The
Yeah.
anticipation. I can only imagine the week before, everyone's getting ready, everything's building up toward it. Oh, that must have been so crazy. Like going through the city and having all the signs like being put up and oh my gosh, that must have been so cool.
I mean, not as
Wow.
cool as competing, you know. I think you had the cooler experience, but
But that must have been awesome. I mean, I didn't get to see a ton of the city, and so being able to go through it and see the impact of the Olympics on the whole city and for all the people who kind of like flooded in from all over the world to be there, like what a cool experience.
and did you do the opening ceremony in the
Nope,
rain?
nope. Didn't do opening, didn't do closing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was that with the timing of the sports, or because I know there were some that were kind of like mixed around in there.
So the Olympics has a 2 week schedule. Track is always in the second half, so we're usually the second week of the program, which means
Mhm.
that for track and field, we're never usually in the opening ceremony. We're never really there unless you're there for a reason. Like, however, you do normally get the chance to go to closing, and the
Mhm.
schedule in 2028 is actually going to flip. So,
Okay.
if anything, we might get the chance to go to opening instead of closing, which could be interesting, but
Nice. And hey,
depends. I probably,
you'll already be there shooting the next Marvel film in Los Angeles
yeah,
anyway, so this is going to be
exactly.
great for you.
Yeah, I will say I am, who's even, what movies I think? I'm gonna say I am so sorry, Brie Larson, and God, who else?
Scarlett Johansson.
ScarJo, like my besties. So sorry, you're gonna have to give me a quick moment to go
Yeah.
to the
Sorry,
opening
your girl's
ceremony.
busy.
BRB. I will, I'll be back to film my stunts later. Don't worry.
In a lot of women's sports, the uniform and what you're wearing to compete seems to be like a really huge impactor on the performance that you have. How much control do you have over what you're wearing? And do you have a preference for what you wear to compete in?
So I mean, you definitely do. I think you definitely do. I think we might even have more options than the guys do.
Nice.
Um, Again, don't quote me on that, but I think we do because normally I think the guys have shorts or their like competition tights,
Okay.
I guess. And then I think if you no one really wears any of their not sweats, but like the sort of thin warm-up gear that you can wear, I guess. But I don't think a ton of people end up wearing those in competition.
Okay.
But for women, we have buns, we have boy shorts, we have half tights, we have full tights, three-quarter tights, I
Wow.
think at times. So, and that's the bottom. On top, we have the sports bra crop top. You could do a, I guess, compre- now I'm getting it mixed up with the jerseys at school. I think you have like a regular singlet that you can, different sizes, different fit.
Yeah.
And then you could also, I mean, they'll also have like a throws top.
Okay.
Uh, but I don't know a lot of people's opinion on the throws top. The throws top is
Okay.
really just like a t-shirt,
Okay.
as opposed to a normal jersey singlet that just has you know, the
The like racerback kind of
button
thing, or
straps. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, exactly. So
Okay.
yeah, so I think that's that. So you can kind of wear whatever you want for the
Nice.
most part. On a national team, you can wear that. And then sometimes for things like the Olympics, we had a different design that they wanted us to wear for qualifying for the final.
Okay.
So our qualifying top was basically just like stark white with like a Canadian flag, the Nike check, and Canada on it, obviously.
Yep.
And then for the final, it was like this kind of cool tie-dye is the wrong word, but kind of tie-dye, like white and red tie-dye in a way.
Okay.
Mixed colors, wavy design, which was really fun.
Yeah.
But as long as you stayed within that color regimen, you were good with whatever you wanted to wear. Oh, we also have the onesie too. There's
Oh,
also the one piece. So for the women, it's the I guess racerback top attached to buns on the bottom. And then for the guys, it's um also, is it a t-shirt for the guys? No, I don't know, but it's full length tights on the bottom or
okay.
shorts. Shorts. It's shorts,
Okay.
maybe. So
Maybe.
maybe. And then for any sponsorship stuff, as long as you're wearing the design of that year, I think you also have like quite a bit of freedom for what you can wear with that
Nice.
as well, which is nice. So
Yeah.
similar, I guess same kind of fit style, I guess, for any of the competition uniforms, which is good. I used to wear half tights when I competed. Now I just feel more comfortable in boy shorts. I like
Okay.
them more. And a nice racerback singlet, and I'm good. I tried to wear a one piece at the Olympics in the final this year, but we weren't able to get my size in it, in the
Hmm.
design, in that
Oh,
like
okay.
color sort of design.
Yeah.
Quickly enough, which is kind of a shame, but
Yeah.
still did it. It's okay. Still wore the boy shorts. Still looked cute. So that was all right. But
Nice.
uniforms wise, yeah. And then for anyone who is unsponsored, you can wear whatever you want.
Okay. Very cool. And so aside from doing the podcast, I do research about body image in sport with athletes. And I'm curious, I guess, about what you feel like affects your body image in your sport as you're competing or as you're training.
Ooh. I think that for a long time now, and it's getting better, but it's still a thing. I think that as throwers, we have to fight back a lot against what it means to be a female athlete,
Okay.
what you're supposed to look like as a woman in sport. What is your body type supposed to be like? What represents fitness? How should fitness be portrayed in media? You know, what kind of clothing should we be wearing? What kind of, how does the way that we, I guess, ready ourselves show on the big stage when we're competing? Like, do we wear makeup? Do we do our hair? Like, I think there's a lot that goes into it. And for me specifically, I'm pretty chill. I'm just throwing on my competition uniform and then now some mascara, a little bit of eyeshadow if I'm
Nice.
feeling spicy.
Okay.
Always hair done for sure.
Your mom's a hairdresser. You got to have the hair done.
Exactly. It would bring shame upon my family if I didn't. So yeah, either a nice little slick back, some braids, either French braids on my own hair or extensions put in.
Okay.
But I think that as time goes on and as we continue to sort of fight back against a lot of the stereotypes of a strong female athlete, especially in hammer throw, I guess. I think a lot of people like to think of Miss Trunchbull from Matilda.
Mm.
And I think
Mm.
now we're at a place where we can say more, we are out here just being
Yeah,
strong in our own way, strong, powerful women. It doesn't matter what we look like. What matters is what we're doing on the field. What matters is how
absolutely.
far we're throwing hammers and how we're representing the sport and supporting each other. And I think on that note too, who we are at our peak athletic ability is what being a female athlete should look like. In any sport, in any event, like you at your peak is what athleticism looks like. And that's how it should be represented. And so I think that as we kind of continue on, we are kind of having to like, break down these barriers. And I think being open about being strong and being muscular and having a lot
Yeah.
of power and having that be shown in really positive ways and to more younger girls and other women just to be like this is pure athletic ability right here. We are representing the peak of our sport every time that we
Yeah.
step into and onto the field of play into a circle. And I think one person who, of course, has done a really great job of, representing the best of female athletics, of course, in the last like couple of years is Alona Mar and her own. Sorry, the sun is getting crazy right now. I'm
I was
just
gonna say
staring.
the rain it went away, I guess, which
Rain's
is
gone,
nice.
right? Look at that. Even just mentioning Alona's name brings out
Brought the
just
sunshine.
hot as it damn well should, honestly. I think that's one thing that a lot of people have come to appreciate more though, and especially with Alona Mar being so open about her own experiences and even within our own sport, I think us just being here, doing our job, showing the day in, day out training, showing us in competition and the highs and lows, we you're kind of put into a position, I think like I mentioned earlier, like there's a certain responsibility that you carry as a female athlete, but I think it's one that we all feel very proud to, I guess, have and to uphold just because we know we're making a difference in a lot of girls' lives and changing the perspective that a lot of people have on our sport and on female sports in general, which is a pretty incredible feeling. So I think that's, I guess that's
Yeah.
my yap take
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
uh, on it. But
No, I totally agree. And I think, showcasing the strength that goes along with being a female athlete, like and it's like you said as well, like the peak performance for each athlete, it's like that is the athletic body. There's no one size fits all. This is athleticism, this is health, this is anything, and I think the more conversations that people have about it and that people are open with it, I do hope that maybe the attitude towards it changes towards that more open perspective because it's just not worth putting your body through anything too crazy for, this idea of what a body should look like.
oh, 1000%. And I mean, to add to that too, I think the more that we put these standards or expectations on what a body should look like in each sport, you know, these expectations are so difficult to reach and they're also unrealistic because
Yeah.
everyone's built differently and has
Yeah.
different expectations for themselves. And I think even within sport, like I think in hammer is such a cool event because we have so many different types of people physically who are a part of it. Like for myself, I think I'm like a bit shorter than
Okay.
than the standard hammer thrower. And growing up, there were a couple people who just told me flat out, like, you're too short to be a hammer thrower. Like, you're not going to throw far.
Whoa.
And it hurts to hear that,
Yeah.
thinking that you feel like you can throw so much better and you feel like you want to, it makes you want to prove yourself like more, but I think it also
Yeah.
this sort of back and forth in your mind of, oh, like it creates a lot of self-doubt. So
Absolutely. I mean, and gosh, what if you had listened to them? You
exactly.
know, what if you had listened to
Especially,
them?
yeah, you never know. And I think that like, am I maybe a couple inches shorter? Sure, but there's other strengths that you can build upon as well. And I can't change my height, but I can work on my technique and
Yeah.
become more powerful and more consistent. And
Mhm.
those are the things that I can change. And I think that that's the thing to focus on even more. And when you see when you see the lineup of hammer throwers out there, we all look different, and I think that that's a very beautiful thing, and it's showing how much, I guess, it shows how you can have so many different type of people find that same passion and love for a sport and be good at it from any background, any body type. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. It's where the athleticism comes in, you
Yeah.
know? So, oh, that's amazing. Um, and so I know the last few years for you have been a little bit busy, out at the University of California, Berkeley. So you've been finishing school. Congrats on your master's, by the way. Huge
Thank you.
accomplishment.
Thank you
Um,
very much.
of course, as a fellow grad school girly, I know that it's not easy. So
Round of
yeah,
applause for the Masters girlies.
we love the Masters girlies. So finishing school, we've talked about you've done some advocacy with special education. You've got a personal life. How do you balance all of those things with training, with traveling, all of those things that are part of your life?
Ooh, okay. I think this is fun. This is a conversation that I've actually had with a lot of different people over the last couple of years because I'm someone who did not have a balance for
Okay.
so long, which I think at the time was necessary. I think that there was a lot of time and a lot of my life that I needed to fully dedicate towards my goals and what I was doing. But I think it got to the point where I started to realize I need to have something else that
Yeah.
is providing me with a little bit of anything. And so being a student athlete for so long, I think you get caught in that cycle of I am training and now I'm studying and now I'm training and now I'm studying. And it does not make it any easier when you hear about the like impossible trifecta of being a
Yeah.
student athlete, which is that there's three things. There's training, there's studying, and there's, a personal life, and you can only pick two. And I think that that's
Yeah.
a really, it's a difficult sort of, I don't know. I think it's really hard to sort of place that pressure on people. I think that it comes from a good place of
Hmm.
people saying you need to focus, you need to kind of, stick to your guns and fully commit and dedicate yourself to what your goals are. But I think it also that's how you burn out.
Yeah.
And everyone's balance looks differently. My balance is still not probably an actual
Okay.
balance, but compared to maybe other people's balance, I'm still very training like time. And I think it's also partially because I train 3 times a day. So most of my day is spent training.
Yeah.
Oh, and when I'm not training now, like I'm interning in our compliance office learning about like sports policy, and that's great. And I love that. But that's kind of what my day looks like, and that's what I love, and that's what I want it to look like. But now I am allowing myself, giving myself permission to enjoy the little things. Like I love concerts. I love
Nice.
hiking. I love reading, cooking and baking. I collect special edition books. Isn't that fun? I want to learn how to actually bind my own books.
Oh my
Spike
gosh. We could talk about books like for a
forever.
whole separate hour. What is your favorite? What special edition books do you have? I gotta know.
Oh, Delaney, this is a we're gonna be we could talk about this forever. I actually subscribed to two book subscription boxes called Illumicrate and Owl
Uh-huh.
Crate, where you
Okay.
don't know what books you're getting every month, but they'll send you a
Hmm.
special edition.
Those Illumicrate ones are beautiful.
They're so fun, and
Uh-huh.
they're all just glorious. They have like the author's signature in them, and then
Yeah.
like a personally written note from the author as
Ugh.
well. I
Illumicrate,
am
if you want to sponsor
telling
us,
you.
if you want to send us books,
Illumicrate, Owlcrate, we are here. We
we're
are
here.
so
We're
ready for
ready. We're
you.
ready.
Our bookshelf definitely does not have any space left. I will make space for
Yeah.
any
We'll get a new
additional
bookshelf. It'll be fine.
someone who finally gets me. I knew we were meant to be,
This is,
Delaney.
I mean, literally, we could talk about this forever. Reading is such like I think again, like, I'm not in training all day, but I am doing research all day. I'm finishing my PhD. I
Yes,
need a,
girl.
like, we need ways to decompress, as
Yes.
students, as athletes, as all these things. And reading for me, oh my gosh, it's just so much that thing that
Yeah.
brings quiet to the inside of my head, So I
Oh,
totally get the
yeah.
book. Out of curiosity, what's your favorite book that you've read recently? Doesn't have to be
Um,
of all time, just recently, just a good one.
ooh, okay. Ooh, okay. Recently, I've actually had some pretty good books in the last year. Okay. So context, I do not want to say I follow book talk because that would be inaccurate.
I feel like
But
we're about to be best friends with whatever you're gonna say.
so I think a series in the last year that I really, really loved that I read was the Plated Prisoner series by Raven Kennedy.
Uh-huh, 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 uh-huh,
Guild. I
uh-huh,
really like that one.
uh-huh.
I'm reading my best friend's one of her favorite series right now, which is the first one called An
Okay.
Ember in the Ashes by Saba Tahir.
Okay.
And she's actually the one who got me on my reading kick again post college because
Oh
that
my
was
gosh.
a tough journey to get back into reading
Yeah.
when you've been reading just so many, I guess like I mean, you understand. You're reading so many like research papers and articles day in, day out.
Yeah.
So this definitely is a decompressor.
Yes.
So that's yeah, I think those have been two. Oh, it's Circe by Madeline.
Madeline Miller.
Yeah,
Love Cersei.
Circe made me bawl my eyes out at the
Oh
end.
God, yeah.
Was dry heaving on my couch.
It's
It
a
was
great
so
book in
bad.
the best way, the most complimentary way, dry heaving.
Dry in the most complimentary way, literally this close to passing out. I was crying so hard. I loved it. I loved
Yeah.
it.
Oh my God,
So,
that's a good one.
you
I'm
know
waiting
what?
to read Atalanta. I don't know if you've read that one yet, but
Ooh, I haven't. You'll have to give me a review though. Please.
yeah,
I want a full Goodreads review.
I'll let you
This is
know.
actually
Oh my God, we've got to do a separate. We'll have to do a separate talk
okay.
about this because
That's
yeah.
different. Sorry. Sorry. The
Okay, but lots of hobbies
yapper
though.
strikes
That's
again.
impressive. It's amazing though the amount of hobbies that you have with how busy you are. I mean, baking alone takes hours,
It's so fun. And plus, I have a ton of allergies. It just makes it so much easier too to cook and bake your own food
Make your own
and
stuff. And probably a little bit of fun to like like find things that are compliant with what
oh,
you need to eat. So
yes, absolutely. I Someone was giving me so much slack because I baked my own birthday cake and they were like, "Why are you baking your own birthday cake?" And I was
like
like,
I know what I want.
"I know what I want." First off, second, don't need your judgment. Third, I baked an Oreo like double chocolate cheesecake. Like
Sue me. Uh-oh. Like that sounds fantastic.
like rude. So, yeah, a big baker. We support bakers.
Yeah, we support bakers on this podcast. That
Yeah,
sounds
please.
amazing. Oh my gosh.
Thank you.
I'm trying to think the best thing I don't bake very often. I truly just don't have the patience for it. But I've made a really good like chocolate chip zucchini bread, and I haven't made it in a while. But that with like some cream cheese, like it's phenomenal.
Say less. My mouth is watering already. That sounds beautiful.
I'll send you the recipe for it. I'll have to find it. But
Gosh,
there
yes,
we go.
please.
Weekend plans sorted.
Wait. Can't wait. Yes. I'll send you the Oreo cheesecake.
Perfect. This is great. We'll have a book club, a recipe club. I
What
love
more
it.
could you ask for? Bookbinding club?
Book
It all
binding,
coming
yeah.
together.
We'll compare glues.
I love it. I love it. Oh, we're really onto something here.
I think we
Wow.
are. I
So
think we
glad that
are.
Sarah introduced us.
Oh. Who gave us microphones?
Who?
Um, we'll bring it
Mm-mm.
back to hammer throw. We'll bring it back to hammer throw. And I
Okay.
want to bring it
Yep.
back to something actually that you mentioned earlier at the beginning of our conversation, which is that women's hammer throw has only been in the Olympics since the year 2000. Um,
Yeah.
do you feel any pressure from being so successful in a sport that's only been available to women at this globally competitive scale for less than 3 decades as a young woman yourself?
I think that there is a sort of I think the thought can sometimes pop into your head, into my head of I don't know, just knowing that every time that you s compete or train, anytime that you post on social media or spread awareness about your sport, that you yourself are a representative of that sport. And I think that there is a sense of pressure in that regard, but also I think in other ways, I honestly just feel very grateful that we're at this level and that we're continuing to grow and make waves and I don't know. So like I guess kind of maybe a little bit of pressure, but also in the best way possible because it means that we're fighting for something that we love. And
Absolutely.
so in fighting for that, we also get to I don't know, it doesn't fall on me alone. Like I think that we have such a rich community and because of that, we all get the chance to, you know, talk about what we love and and be able to bolster it in the way that we feel best represented as well from our own experiences. So,
Hmm.
no, maybe kind of, but in a good way.
Yeah, I mean, and how cool to be part of it. It's kind of so early on in its um, inclusion of women too. Like
Yeah,
that's really cool as well. And so I know you're from Canada, living in California, but you compete for Canada.
I do.
Um, and I'm in the, not that I compete, but I'm in the reverse situation where I'm American, but I live in Canada. So we did a little exchange program here.
Look at
Um,
us go.
yeah. But as a Canadian living in California, what is it like when you then get to compete for Canada when you're in the bigger, Olympic world kind of competitions?
I think, you know what? I think it's actually funny because I'll get to see people on the national team that I don't see, except for when we're competing at national championships.
Right.
But then I'll see all my friends that I've made down here in the US, and I'm like, ooh, look at me, secret spy. No, it's such an honor to compete for Canada, and I think that being able to compete for the country that I grew up in, that I was born in, that I was raised in, that my family still lives in, is very special, even though I live and train in the US. But saying that, I think now I feel like I have two homes, which is kind of fun.
Yeah.
So my home in Canada, I have my home down here, and I've been able to, have my family and my team from home, from Richmond, BC, where I grew up, as well as here in California. I've been able to build a family down here too, and I think
Yeah.
that's been very meaningful, knowing that I have so many great people in my life, and
Yeah.
just from coming here and being at Berkeley. I mean, if I hadn't come to Berkeley, like we wouldn't be talking right now. And
Right.
thank you, Sarah. So,
Yeah, truly.
so I think it's like being on the world stages and representing Canada is cool. Just being able to wear Canada just across your chest. I mean, it's a dream I had from when I started, and it's a dream that I think the awe of which will never lessen, regardless of how many opportunities I have to do it. But then I think it's also fun because in every championship I've competed in where I've made the podium, you do a victory lap. Sometimes. Most sometimes. You'll do a victory lap around the inside of the stadium, and every single time without fail, I'll have people scream "Go Bears" at me because that's our mascot here at
Yeah.
school, the California Golden Bears, and I'm like, best of both worlds right now. This is crazy.
Yeah.
And when we're not doing the victory lap, I've had people scream it to me like from the street.
Wow.
Wild experience. Love it though. I'm like, look at me. This is
All
the
the
best of
love.
everything.
Yeah. Totally. And I mean, along these same lines, of all the competitions and huge successes that you've had, which competition has been the most meaningful to you so far?
That's a very good question because I think one of the ones that comes to mind right away is when I won my first NCAA championships. Um, because on the day I hit a new personal best, I threw 71.50. I was not slated to win. I was not slated to win. I had come 13th the year prior at regionals, which meant I was the first person out from not making nationals my freshman year. And so that entire next year was me learning how to compete better and figure out my mindset a little bit more and really hone in on my abilities. So asked to make nationals and then making nationals and then winning nationals with a personal best that also qualified me for the senior world championships at the time. I didn't end up going, which I think was a good idea because I needed to be A, in school and B, rest. But I think, having that happen in 2019 with the Olympics the next year, supposed to be the next year,
Right.
for COVID, and knowing I was only a meter out from making the Olympic standard, I think it was one of those sort of big, like significant moments in my career where I felt like I really felt like I could do it. Like I think it was one of those moments where I first really truly had no doubt in my mind that I could make the Olympics. And for that reason alone, I think that meet always holds like a special place in my heart just because I think
Yeah.
it's a big growing point for me in my career. Like I think there's moments in your career that you look back on and you can pinpoint those as being moments that kind of change the trajectory of your journey. And I think that was one of them for me, was winning that NCAA title with a personal best and knowing that I could make the Olympic Games. So that for me was a pretty wild experience. And it makes me really happy to think back on it, just knowing how much that meant. And then especially going that next year through COVID and then
Hmm.
coming back the year after and, you know, improving even more than I probably thought I could in that moment.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
that's amazing though. Yeah, just like those kind of like just those special things, where you're impressing yourself, like getting to have that win for yourself, like regardless of everything else. It's like that's such a
Yes,
heartwarming feeling.
that's exactly it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are your favorite ways to unwind after a competition?
Oh man. After competition, ooh, okay. I okay, I'm really lucky. My family will come to a lot of my meets, so normally I'll hang out with them or with my coach. I always eat like a massive meal after I compete. I
Nice.
try to. So that's always really nice. Depending on how big the competition is, my recovery will be hit or, or miss. I've dealt with insomnia my whole life, and
Okay.
so with a really big competition, if the energy, I mean, I feel like even if I didn't have insomnia, this would still be an issue. But like after winning worlds and the Olympics, no sleep. I'm pretty sure I didn't sleep for like 48 hours straight. It was dangerous. It was
Yeah,
dangerous.
you've got to be wired though
There's
after
so
that.
much going on. I was like, how could I possibly sleep after all that? I couldn't.
Yeah,
So I think unwinding, it's more enjoying the moment, making sure to be with my friends and with my family. And like after Worlds, it was super funny because we left the Olympics too, but we ended up leaving the stadium so late because of drug testing. You go through the interview process, you do, well, podium right after in Paris, the next day in at Worlds, but you have all of that, and then you're leaving the stadium so late because you also compete in the final really, really late. So I think at Worlds, I was with my mom, one of our really good family friends, and some of my other friends and teammates, and we literally just got like kebab, like shawarma at 2 in the morning in the middle of Budapest. Because like, what
nice.
else could we do? It was so late, but it was just so fun. Just this weird moment of being like, did that just really happen? That's crazy. So I think that's kind of the fun part of going through all that and being able to like enjoy that whole experience with people who are there with you and like go through it with you. I think is really fun.
Totally. Um, and then I also read somewhere that you like to bring back coffee with you when you go places for
I do.
competition.
I do. Ooh, it's been a while, most because I've been on big trips the last few times, so I haven't been able to. I think I was able to bring back some coffee from Japan when I went in 2021.
Okay.
Because the year after I brought back chocolate from England. That's what it was.
Nice.
Candy.
Yeah.
It's like I brought back like British candy,
Uh-huh.
instead of coffee.
Did you get the
Uh,
little Freddo frogs?
Freddo frogs?
Yeah, they're these little chocolate frog guys.
Ah, now I need to go
Next
back.
time. Next time.
Next time, 1000% for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
What kind of coffee do you like to drink? What's your go-to?
I think if I go anywhere for the first time, my usual, I'm a very big cappuccino girl.
Okay.
Love a good cappuccino. I like a good strong coffee.
Mm,
Um, I I'm a big supporter of black coffee. I do
okay.
enjoy good black coffee.
Yep.
Um, but I can also, I can also appreciate a fun one. But I recently got one of my dream coffee machines, so I've been using that thing like there is no tomorrow. I want it to be buried with me. I love this
Oh,
coffee machine so
I
much.
love that for you. It makes all the
Yeah.
difference. I got one of those mocha pots and like game
I love
changer.
mocha pots. Yes,
Yeah.
they're so good.
Yeah.
Oh my
I have to have
gosh.
I need to like have the mental fortitude to like wait for it and not like make because if you can burn it if you make it
Yes,
too
you have
hot
to
too
have it
fast,
like a
you gotta wait for
medium
it.
tide.
And
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I still have my mocha pot and I love that thing to death, but I 1000% hear you. Yeah,
Yeah.
you gotta be
Well,
patient.
I love this for you having the coffee machine of your dreams. That's, I mean, truly what could be better.
You press the little button, it just makes it. You like customize it a little bit.
Mhm.
Beauty. Love of my life.
Amazing. So, growing up, who were your role models in sport, and what would you say to them if you could meet them now?
Oh man. Okay, see this is I feel like people aren't gonna like my answer because because track and field was my first sport and I didn't really follow sports. Like my mom I didn't do sports or follow sports at all, actually. My mom and I were living really far away from where I went to school and where she worked. So we were commuting every day. We didn't have cable, so we were watching TV,
Yeah.
and I just didn't really know sports, period. So
Okay. Yeah.
I think growing up, I didn't have a lot of, I guess, ath I didn't have a lot of knowledge about other athletes.
Okay.
I had good knowledge of like some Canadian ones. I remember being really small and loving Terry Fox. Like I don't know if
Okay.
you've
Yeah.
heard of
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Fox.
Yeah.
He was like he was someone I really looked up to when I was a kid.
Yeah. Did you have the Terry
But
Fox run at your school?
of course we did.
Yeah.
Of course. That's
Yeah.
like I think you have to do that in order to be Canadian.
Yeah.
You
Some of the
know?
requirements. Yeah.
It's that, get some Tim Hortons, get a toque, wear a flannel.
There you go. You're missing they're doing the roll up the cups right now at the at gyms.
Oh, don't tell me that. I love Roll Up the Cup season. Gosh,
Yeah.
Timmy Hortons. You gotta send me some cups. I need to be rolling those cups up
Yeah,
down
we gotta
here.
roll some cups, open a Berkeley location. It'll be Oh yeah, Terry Fox. That's amazing. Yeah.
Love him. Love Terry Fox as an athlete, but also like my mom was like a huge marathon runner. She was the person the who I would look to for any, athletic sort of I don't know, influence and inspiration, and
Yeah.
for her to do that while raising me as a single parent, like I think she was a person I looked up to so much throughout my athletic career and still do. So I think
Yeah.
I I think we got to put mom first.
Yeah, we'll put
Terry
mom above
Fox
Terry.
second. Sorry,
He'll
Terry.
understand.
He'll understand. I'm so sorry, Terry. I love you. But yeah,
Yeah, amazing. I'm sure she'll love to hear that. Mom's got to be number one.
mom's gotta win always, right? Always.
If you knew that you could be successful at it, maybe not the best at it, but good enough at it, is there another sport that you'd want to try?
Okay. Within track and field,
Okay.
pole vaulters all of the ones I've met are so nice. They're super duper nice. They do a crazy event. Because what do you mean you launch yourself over a bar? I want to try that.
And then
Whatever.
let go too.
And then and then
And
you
then you
let
gotta
go.
let go.
Oh, and then you fall.
Right. On
Yeah.
your
If
back.
I ever if I ever just feel like kind of pushing coach a little bit, I'll be like, you know what? I really think we should start cross training with the pole vaulters.
Yes.
Really think that that is where my career is heading. I
Yes.
think we should start the transition now, and he'll just kind of give you this look where he'll just be like,
It's like this again.
eyes squinted. mouth downturned, hope disintegrating. I'll be like, no. For for other sports though, I mean it's gonna sound biased because I mentioned Alona earlier, but rugby's so much fun. I have a really good friend who played rugby, was on the national team, played a little bit overseas. I think it just looks so cool, and I think it has a really cool community and culture like around it too. So I think rugby would be really fun. Yeah.
Very
Yeah. I'm gonna
nice.
go those pole and rugby. Two very different things,
Very
but
different, but both look like a
the
ton of
vibes are
fun.
so good.
Absolutely.
Vibes are immaculate.
Yes. Rugby is so fun just even to watch, that like I can imagine if you're in it like that, it's
Yeah.
kind of cathartic, I would think,
I
like just
yes.
really running
You just
around.
get me.
Amazing.
Yeah. Real versus
Um,
real.
yeah, absolutely. That's what we're about. Um, what was a gold medal moment for you? So just a moment or an achievement that stands out to you in or out of sport that is just something that you know that you're always going to carry with you.
Trying to think of things outside of my sport.
Sure. I mean, hey, you finished your
Um,
master's. That's a huge one.
that's true. I one of the things that did pop into my head actually was walking across the stage, I think,
Yeah.
like at my master's graduation. I think just because when I was younger, I feel like I was just so lost. And I think that I didn't even really know what I would do in my life. I didn't really even know if I'd go to college. And then I feel like I found this sport and it kind of guided me on this really beautiful path that I never would have found otherwise. And I think to look back on 12-year-old me, making that decision to go to the first practice, like she would never believe that we not only went to college, but went to the number one public college in the world and then got 3 degrees and did all of that
Yeah.
while you know, becoming an Olympic finalist. And then, you know, 2 months after graduating, winning worlds. And I think that there's so much that goes kind of hand in hand with that achievement because it's obviously finishing your master's is huge, but I think to know that there was so much doubt and uncertainty that was behind that from when I was younger to then
Yeah.
accomplishing that and kind of getting to that feat. I mean, I think it makes me feel very proud because I know that there's a lot of people who had to sacrifice to make that happen for me. And I think it's just one of those where I hope in doing that I was able to make them proud. I made myself proud and one next step in that journey, which is cool.
Yeah,
And next is law
absolutely.
school, hopefully. So,
It's law school is
yeah,
the next venture.
that's the next one.
Very exciting. You're gonna have so many degrees by the end of the
I,
day,
you
which
know
we
what? As long
love.
as which we love, as long as someone has to read them all out. It's a lot of words. You got
Your
that double
LinkedIn would look
undergrad.
so cool though. See all the letters like just back to back to back. I love when people do that. I do that a little
It's
bit on my LinkedIn, I'm not gonna lie.
it's as you know what though, as you should. As you should. I feel like now it kind of takes a whole breathful to say the names of all of them back to back. So
Yeah.
whenever people ask, I'm like, okay, okay.
You're like, how much time do you
Then
have? You want the short
so
form, long form?
short form, long form, do you just want the BA, BS, MA? I feel like that, streamlined sounds good.
Yeah.
Cross our fingers one day, JD.
Can't wait. Can't wait. We're manifesting that here.
We're getting the good energy out here. I like
Yeah.
that.
Good vibes for law school.
Good
That's
vibes
huge.
only.
Well, congrats on that. That's amazing. And good luck with
Oh,
that
thank
process.
you.
That's going to be
Thank
amazing to hear
you.
about.
Oh my gosh. I mean, okay, over here, doctor.
Ah,
Whatever.
ah.
Whatever, doctor. Has a good ring to it, doesn't it? Has such
Well,
a good
it's
ring to it.
it's one of those things that like I mean, yeah, I also like I had wanted to be a doctor. I'd wanted to be a different kind of doctor when I was younger, but I now that it's getting closer, my first name is Delaney, obviously, and I think Dr. Delaney makes me sound like I need like a Dr. Phil type of an outlet, you know?
You would host a great show. This is your step. This is your first step.
Yeah, just look out in a few months. It's gonna totally change. It's gonna be,
Oh my God. We'll meet in LA. I'll be on break from my from my Marvel filming,
yep,
for my
yep,
stunt work.
yes.
You'll be, between episodes on Dr. Delaney.
Yeah, phenomenal. And you can, we'll both have all of the I's dotted, T's crossed on everything from your experience in law school. So I think the most success that we could possibly have is already in the works. We
We're on
said it
our
here.
way. We're on our way, Doc.
Oh my God. Ah, with sport, what hopes do you have and what changes do you want to see moving forward with women's sports in particular?
Oh, I think my hopes and for what I want to see in women's sport, period. I think the last couple of years have honestly really, we've seen such a amazing response and, wave of support, an uptick in viewership and sponsorship in women's sports. And I just want to keep that trajectory going. I think that the more support we have, the more funding we can increase, the more women and young girls have the opportunity to be involved in sport and to try it out. That, I think that being able to showcase women's sport and really disentangle the perspective and expectations on, as we were talking about before, expectations on body image and what it means to be a high performing athlete and a woman also. I think that we can continue to make improvements in that. I think pretty recently I was looking at this, I think I was reading this article that was talking about how like the top however many highest paid athletes in the world are all men.
Yeah,
Is it
I
top
saw that
100?
this morning. The top 100 were all
Top
men.
100. And
Yeah,
I'm like, that is insane. That's
yeah,
also bullshit.
yeah.
Um, and I think that we need to keep pushing for more equal funding and sponsorship and monetary opportunities for women, because would you mean the top 100
Hmm.
highest earning athletes in the world are all men?
Yeah. And I
Why?
and I think
Why
also, like men in sport, and this is, painting a broad stroke, but a lot of men in sport are not, dual career people. Whereas I think women in sports so often end up also having to do something else because of the lack of, or just because of the existence of the wage gap and I mean, crap comparison for winnings for teams and things. And I think that's a really unfair expectation. It's also can be really limiting when it doesn't need to be that way.
I agree with you 100%. And I think that, for women, there's already so much fighting that has to happen for us to even have, like, I think that there were enough outspoken athletes who had to work for years just to get protections in place for their sponsorships for when they were on maternity leave. And it's like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Why is this
Why?
thing we have to fight for so long?
Yeah.
But I think the more we keep pushing and pressing down and breaking through these sorts of barriers and these, I don't know, just these, we're breaking through glass ceilings, we're trailblazing, and I think the more that we can have that happen, the more we can push each other and support each other on that path, the more change that we will end up seeing. And it takes people being outspoken. It takes, a lot of community support and unrelenting, unrelenting, just conversation and focus and just discussion to be placed on these people. We have to add pressure, unrelenting pressure to change this situation. So
Absolutely.
I think it's really awesome to be a part of that. And hopefully we can keep making things happen for the betterment of sport as a whole. Because it's not just event to event or sport to sport, it is athletics as a whole. It's an all-encompassing thing.
Totally.
So we
Yeah,
persist.
we do. We persist. Um, is there a message that you'd like to share with girls in sport who are maybe scared to try something new?
To the girls in sport, I think that even by making the decision to try something new is you being brave. And I think it's ultimately you being your most authentic self. And I think in the journey that you're about to start, which is going to be so exciting, staying true to that and finding that strength and that power that can only truly be found by being your most authentic self in everything that you do, in the way that you begin on this journey, in the way that you stick to what you know to be, I don't know, your strengths and your passions and your power. Like that is where you will find success. And yeah, I'm so psyched for you. I'm so excited for you.
That's amazing. That's beautiful. Um, Cameron Rogers, thank you so much for all of this. Is there anything coming up that you'd like to share about for people to be on the lookout for?
Well, first, thank you so much. Thank you for having me. This has been such a pleasure. And ooh, coming up, I have my first meet of the year coming up on April 20th, I think. Potentially
Nice.
20th, at Mount Sac Relays. And so that should be fun. We're like T minus 5 weeks out, which is
Woo!
crazy. So whoop whoop. So we're getting ready for that. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to put some
Amazing.
big numbers out there on the field for Worlds this year.
We can't
Go back
wait.
to Tokyo.
There we go. Yeah, I know I'm very excited to follow it. So that'll be so fun.
It'll be so good.
Um, where can people go to stay in touch with you and see what you're up to?
Ooh, follow me on Instagram, Rogers_Camryn. I need to post on my TikTok more, but you can follow me on my TikTok at Camryn Rogers Hammer. And yeah, I think those are the
Okay.
two best
The
ways to
big
do
two.
it. Best ways.
Amazing. I'll write them out down in the description for the episode so people can have that there um as
Thank
well.
you.
But amazing. Perfect. Again, Cameron, thank you so, so much for everything.
Thank you so much. You're the best.
Huge, huge, huge thank you to Cameron for joining me for the second episode of Gold Medal Girls. I'm so grateful to you. You're an amazing person and friend. Find her on Instagram at Rogers_Camryn, ROGERS_CAMRYN. And I'll also have it tagged in the show notes. Another huge thank you to Josh Halliday for the Gold Medal Girls music and also to the Women's Sports Podcast Network. And last but not least, thank you for listening to Gold Medal Girls. Please rate and review the show wherever you watch or listen and give us a follow on social media at goldmedalgirlspod on Instagram and at goldmedalgirls on TikTok. You can also visit goldmedalgirls.com for more about the show or email me at goldmedalgirlspod@gmail.com if you're a woman in sport and you'd like to be on the show. And I will see you next time.